Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Tonight on the Crimson Newscast, obviously covering a few trailers and stuff, as I always do. Here we got like 5 trailers to go over. Some more, epic than others. A couple of articles, particularly about some Netflix stats insofar as anime is concerned. A little bit of news about what's going to happen with Dragon Ball Super. A bit of a fandom conundrum. Netflix being terrible at managing anime, and a few other random talking points. Perhaps stuff like why apparently waifus are bad and it's sexist to use that term. Okay, then. So be it. So, hello, chat. Hello, Jeremy Turner. And hello to anyone who is listening to this, I don't know, post recording or whatever. That is what we're looking to tonight. I mean, to be honest, it's not like there was a huge amount of stuff happening. I did a little bit of digging into a certain fandom related issue today because I didn't do a whole lot for work, so I spent a lot of time just dicking around. I figured, you know what? I have this whole thing that's been going on. Apparently, there's been I guess we'll start with this a little bit, just since it's kind of one of the most relevant things that I have found for the day. So there was this. I'll bring this up. We'll talk about this guy right here. So according to random Twitter user, Ruri Rocks, or people were upset at Ruri Rocks over this girl, pretty much. The fact that it was fan servicey. And they had one of the main characters, Nagi, looking good. Now, I mean, if you're familiar with any of my talk about this over the last couple of days, I should say, you're probably familiar with the fact that this is my new down bad moment for the season, okay? Like, she got everything for everyone. So I like it. It's a little bit interesting to see that people are saying that this is acting as a filtered moment for fandom. So I went to investigate, and you know what I found? Jack fucking shit, to be entirely honest. Like, I hardly found anything. I had to scavenge through all of the big posts on this topic and like really look through all the ones that had tons of quotes and comments to find anything that was even like remotely negative about this series. And I found maybe like 3 in about 30 to 40 minutes worth of looking through comments. So I genuinely do not know where this whole filtered thing came from. And this is why you should always do your due diligence, and why I always at least try to when it comes to talking about some of these things, because just because someone reports it on the internet does not mean it's true. I did not see a significant portion of people on this site or anywhere really complaining that this was somehow problematic because one of the main characters has big tits and a nice ass. I ended up having to go call bullshit. It's a believable thing given that like there are a couple of examples, but they are really just a minority. Like, let me see if I can find the screenshots here that I took because I figured it might be worth it to have them around. Um, I'll read a couple of these comments to you. So there's one person that commented under one of these videos or one of these posts about this show. More Gooner garbage that's designed to just sell collectibles of the girls in it. Big pass. Can't wait for all the super fans to not retain any knowledge of mineralogy exactly 1 week after the show ends. Of course, below that, there was also another comment that said more Gooner trash, laughing emoji. We'll move on down the line. There was someone who retweeted one of the promotional pieces. This show is terrible. If there is something below slice of life, this is it. Sounds like bait. And then, of course, the final comment. This would be the fourth and final comment that I have found here. This looks really good, and I've heard great things about it. It's also apparently kind of info heavy. Maybe I can overlook the fan service this time. I think I'll give this a watch. It really does genuinely surprise me how averse people are to fan service sometimes. But even in this case, I can't really say that this is a controversy because I have found a surprising few people who have complained about this. Mostly jackasses who see slice of life as not worth their time, and people who somehow seem to see fan service as like an ultimate evil because they can't handle the fact that maybe perhaps most of the human race likes to look good and likes good looking people. I would argue part of that is just jealousy and the other part of it is ideology, but I can't really tell you how much of each really represents all this. And some of it may just be it's the acceptable opinion of the masses that oh well, you're not supposed to make everyone look good because that makes people feel subconscious about themselves. If you're subconscious, that's a talk for another time. Either way, it's a non-controversy. I feel like the posts about this show filtering this whole thing are largely unsupported. And while a few people do react negatively to it, there always will be. You cannot filter out the overwhelmingly positive response to an amazing anime just so you can focus in on a couple of jackasses saying, oh, well, this show sucks. So that's how we're going to start tonight. Also, hello, Marcel. Now that I'm done with my little bit of a monologue to start off the night, I will say hello. I wasn't just ignoring you. I was trying to get done with what I was saying. Cheers, kanpai, however you want to say it. All right. I don't know. Well, I don't know what it's like across the world, but here in the States, I can give a bit of an opinion on it because there is a division along this, depending on whether you are a conservative or a liberal. Um, in a sense, they do kind of wrap around and it is a bit of a horseshoe, but there are different reasons why they kind of come to the same conclusion. Um, Basically, one side ends up feeling like traditional beauty standards are a negative thing for women, and anything that supports those traditional sorts of beauty standards is therefore evil because it is anti feminist. Now, the other side does still seem to, support some level of beauty, but they are also generally more religious and more focused and more prudish in nature. And they will see anything that is overly fan servicey or sexual as a problem and therefore evil as well. Therefore, it all must get hit with the ban hammer no matter who's in power because you're not allowed to have fun. Welcome to the United States. Seriously though, I think if we're talking, if this is what, honestly, I wouldn't even consider this fan service. I would just say this chick's awesome. You can't see it because I haven't pulled down, but I still have Nagi up on my screen. I don't even know why you would call that fan service. It's not really the traditional thing I would think of as fan service. It's just an appealing shot of the character. But I digress. Let's pull up the first thing that we have for the night. And unfortunately, Biggles isn't around, and I didn't share this one with him because I kind of wanted to use it for my own stream. And I know he'd probably start talking something about it if I brought it up. So, yeah, I'm hoarding content. Here we go. Villainous revenge fantasy TV anime The Holy Grail of Eris. New trailer revealed. The premise being a noblewoman framed for a crime by her cheating fiance gets help from the ghost of a villainess executed years ago. So let's see what it has to offer. お前のこれからの人生をかけて私の復讐を成功させなさい。スカーレット・カスティールといえば希代の白女。セシリアに毒を仕込んだ罪で処刑されたけど、そんな地味なことこの私がするわけないじゃないの。つまり冤罪。お前の役目は真犯人を見つけ出し。I mean, at the very least, there's something there that I like. そんなこと私には。必ずどこかに手がかりを残したはずよ。鍵。これはエリスの聖杯を破壊しろ。So if this is going to be a mystery, the premise already has me a bit interested, but the mystery element of it may end up being another fun part of it. So I think this one does have potential. 準備は良くて、コンスタンス。楽しい宴の始まりだわ。あなた、とんでもないことをしてくれたわ。私は盗んだりなんて。あなたのただの泥棒じゃない。これは一体何の騒ぎかな。どちらが泥棒なのかしらね。あら、ごきげんよう。Wait, so does she get like temporarily possessed by the ghost? Okay, this may actually be really interesting. 本当に君は関係がないと言えるのか。夫人のひまわりの誠実なだけじゃよく何も解決しない。キリキキリクク少しでも反応したらとっても悪い人だから。コンスタンス・グレイ、君の目的は何だ。あの女は普通じゃないよね。中継が正体ジョン・ルー伯爵の帽子の中。10年前どうしてスカーレットが処刑されたのかご存知ですか。呪われろ貴様ら全員。So is this whole thing basically going to revolve around the concept of like this dead villainess coming in and like temporarily possessing her and all that, and like they're kind of like taking turns with her body? So this one looks like it could be a fun little like addition to an already stacked winter 2026 season. To answer this question, no, I am not really anywhere near close to caught up enough on Shield Hero to be able to watch this newest season. I just haven't been interested in it since season 1. To be entirely honest, like season 2, I tried, but like I felt like it was a huge turnoff, and it was just like, whatever, I'm dipping. Haven't been back since. I probably won't catch up this season on Shield Hero. But I do hear a lot of people say that season 3 was better than season 2. All right. Let's move on to the next trailer that we got to talk. Just sort of like before that though, sort of wrap up some thoughts on this. Um, Interesting premise. Can't really tell much from um the preview that we've been given with this trailer, especially because there's no like English translation for what's being said. Um, I'm sorry. Why are Sarada and Ben Shapiro trending at the same time? Anyway, it looks like it could be a good premise, something that I probably will enjoy, especially if they lean a bit more into the mystery stuff and on like the supernatural elements that they're playing with. I feel like it could be good. We could have something interesting here. Um, the next one though, this one's gonna be a bit wild, and this is Rooster Fighter. I don't really care much for all the CGI that I'm seeing here. And I've seen this, like the promotional material for this come across my feed a couple of times. I'm not really a huge fan of that, but I'm at least willing to give it a try. I have like a really like hard ass voice for this guy. I'm sorry, I find that really funny. Like have this chicken with like this really deep masculine voice. I'm sorry, but the animation for the like that did not like this does not look good. Oh man, that's worded like it's a fucking NSFW piece of material here. I'm sorry, but one cock to save the world does not sound like your usual anime sort of thing. I'm sorry, but I'm like terribly unimpressed with the animation for this, but the utter ridiculousness of this does kind of seem funny enough to entertain me. I've read that plot before. I believe it's called World's End Harem or something like that. Where basically the dude wakes up and like every man in the world is like dead because of some disease. So he's being put into like a breeding program where he has to fuck a bunch of chicks. I'm pretty sure that's the title of it. Not that whole spiel, just I'm pretty sure that series, which I'm very certain I know the plot of, is called World's End Harem. I've seen Brave Bang Bravern. Can't be that weird. I don't know. A CGI chicken fighting CGI demons seems like it's going to be the kind of trashy series that everyone needs to watch. Like the train wreck you just can't keep your eyes off of. It just seems too ridiculous to skip. Of course, we do have one of the big anime announcements from this last week of Anime Expo, and it is that Giguk is creating an original anime of his own, something that's been a bit of a passion project. Apparently, this is going to be a movie that he is heavily involved with.
I hear the whisper, I hear the song, guiding my way as I wander. Voice on the wind, echoes and
I don't know.
sings, calling me forward where I belong.
Makes me wonder if Hassan will have a role. I forget that. I always forget because I don't really watch Giguk. I'm not really involved with like anything that he does. Um, it's not like I always forget that he is like in that sort of group. Is it about his life as a cuck, a man with no spine? Look, I know nothing about Giguk, so I'm not going to talk shit about the guy. But I guess if we're saying that he is friends with Hassan, then that means he's with Trash Tastes. And I don't really think I'm a huge fan of them either. I've seen a few bits and clips, not enough to really judge, but like, bro, I watch anime because I like it, and that's why I talk about it. Most other people's opinions is outside of my scope. Like, I watch almost no other anime YouTubers. I know almost nothing about them. And the few I do are on the smaller end and they cover news and stuff like that. Like, none of this looks particularly bad, to be entirely honest. It's just, I don't know. There's nothing about it that really feels special to me. He can't even push back against Hassan's stupid takes that he believes. Again, I wouldn't know. I also wouldn't know about the anime man. Generally, like I said, the people who I watch would be like, well, I mean, I'll watch Biggles videos whenever he comes out. Obviously, me and him talk quite a bit. Um, there are a few others who I do somewhat regularly watch. That would be Brandon, the anime guy. He also does a lot of this sort of same streaming stuff that I do. And we trade opinions every now and again. And there is also Otaku Espiritu, who mostly covers news. And I follow him just because it's interesting to see him talk in depth more about like fandoms and stuff that I'm not very familiar with, series that predated me getting into anime. So that's pretty much all I have to do with like the anime YouTube community. Oh, well, there's also weebs and waifus. But insofar as the kind of coverage I tend to get into or the kinds of things I tend to watch, they're pretty normy by comparison, if I'm entirely honest. They may have watched anime much longer than me, but yeah. But I feel like I at this point I watch and cover a whole lot more stuff than Weebs and Waifus does. That's not like a flex or a knock or anything, just to be clear. It's just I started doing this because I like it and I like their channel. But when Ivan is allowed to stream, yeah, I saw that they streamed while I was on the Biggles break. It was kind of weird. Like I was live with Biggles, and then late, like the day after, they up. I saw that the vlog had been uploaded. Anyway, insofar as Gigux project here goes, I'm not really sold on it, to be entirely honest. Like, sure, it's real. I'm like, I'm happy for the guy to be that, like, he gets to do something that he's really passionate about, that he's like, chasing his dream and everything. It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel very special.
Life holds stories in moonlight and rain, each a reminder that love remains. Now I'm home. Mm.
バーン、大人の教会。
Did you like Lethal's card? I mean, it was a good card. We actually looked it up, and apparently it is it's like an ultra rare or something. When I say we, I mean me and Biggles. We were backstage after Monday's stream, and I brought it up because there we were talking about cards and stuff. So he then went and looked it up to see what it was all about. Anyway, with Gigux project here, I don't know if I'm like terribly invested in it, but it at least deserves a try because it looks fairly professional. I'll give it that. Like it doesn't look like a half-assed project. I don't know. There's just something about it that I'm not super sold on. I think it's a tail. It looks like a tail. Anyway, we have two more trailers, and they get progressively cooler after this. Let's close out some tabs here. So, yeah, that's about how I feel about it, Marcel. I'll watch it when it comes out. I'll give it a chance, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it because honestly, that trailer feels, I don't know, mundane, I think is the best way to say it. It's not horrible. It's not amazing. It's just kind of there. It is mundane. Okay. So here we have a new trailer. So this one is particularly interesting to me. So first of all, Studio Bones right there. They do good animation. I will say that. But this is Demons of the Shadow Realm, an anime based on a creation by Hiromu Arakawa's manga. And now Hiromu Arakawa is responsible for Full Metal Alchemist. So this one seems like it could have potential. I wonder if they're going to show anything good to sort of sell it, or if this is just the announcement of it. I kind of like the music, to be entirely honest. Like, I don't know. There are certain like symphonic or orchestral sorts of things like this that I don't know. It's a vibe for me. Oh yeah, this I really like the music. If this is the sort of like artwork like the designs we can expect from the series, that's actually pretty cool. Like I really do like a lot of this stuff. Obviously, the same sort of character design from Edward Elric as you would expect, because same creator, looks very similar. So this is a cool announcement, if you ask me, but we haven't really seen a whole lot else of it to really be able to judge it. Shows more spine in his work than on his podcast. It reminds me of Ghost in the Shell when they are seen transitioning. Interesting. Hello, Gorilla Mar. How are you? Covering anime news and whatnot. I already talked about that, so I can close that one out and be done with that topic. So yeah, I mean, so far, of all the ones I've seen, this is up there for like as far as like the trailers I've shown tonight. I would say the Villainess one is interesting. This one definitely has my attention, particularly because I do like Full Metal Alchemist. I thought it was a good series. And I tend to put my faith in a creator's ability to make good work. If they give me a good showing, on the regular. At the very least, from this guy, I have not seen anything that's really been terrible insofar as his end of the work goes. Moonrise, he didn't write, he just did the character design on, and I did like the character designs. I couldn't really care much for the story. Remember Lazarus? Well, yeah, that's the thing is I get it. Like you can still be let down by a good creator that has a good track record. There's no doubt in my mind that there is the potential for this to go sideways. I'm just saying I'm willing to trust someone who actually has a good track record. And if they do make something bad, I'm willing to at least forgive them once if everything else that I've, experienced from them has been good. But if they're going to make a track record of fucking things up, then it's going to be the difference. Tired as hell, chase the kiddos at soccer practice and then the playground afterwards. Sounds exciting. Sounds like fun. I can't say I've really been there myself, but I have had to deal with a bunch of younger kids using me as the jungle gym at family reunions because apparently they all like to climb on me because I'm the only person who doesn't violently throw them off and tell them to knock it off. That's what I get for being nice to children. Maybe I should elect the Bagels route and just be like a dick to children. I'm not being serious about that. Okay. So here's the last and most exciting trailer for the night. Mushoku Tensei Season 3. Looks like they're already showing off plenty of new stuff here, so. I've always loved like the ambient designs for Mushoku Tensei. Like the world always looks incredible, very enthralling sort of fantasy designs. No matter where they are, no matter how short their stay in an area is within the show, everything always looks really good. And Studio Bind has been really good at that part of it. Ooh, animation looks a little rough there. Although some of these things may get very, very interesting. That looks good. I was more so talking about the stuff with Elena Elise where like the animation may be a little bit Everything else, though, has been pretty much what I would expect out of, Studio Bind with Mushoku Tensei. And of course, the moment everyone's been talking about,
ルーです。
the return of the redhead. Ugh. So I know a lot of people didn't really care much for the last season. There were a couple of reasons. A lot of people complained about the ED stuff and, the whole school arc. But personally, I am more invested in the storytelling when you actually give me good characters than if you just do constant action in whatever the fuck all the time, okay? A good story does not have to constantly involve fighting and action and high stakes sort of stuff. At times, you do need to like take a break and go on a detour and like explore some different topics and flesh out your world a little bit more. Do something different that makes it more than just a constant action fest. I do appreciate that kind of stuff. It's nice. But I personally am excited for this because I like this series. I think it's really good. And I'm looking forward to this. So this one is by far like probably my favorite announcement of the last week. I don't know what you're trying to imply. So shut the fuck up, Biggles. Also, hello, Biggles. Speak of the devil and he shows up. So anyway, that pretty much concludes all of the trailer talk that I have for the night. Right now, I will say the villainess one, Biggles will probably really like. I'm being haunted by the villainess. Apparently, Biggles likes to touch me. And this is something I didn't know. So, January of next year, they're releasing another villainess anime. And it's basically this chick gets betrayed by her fiance and framed for a crime. And she is basically haunted by the ghost of a villainess who was executed years ago. And it looks like a sort of like mystery series where she gets possessed by this villainous ghost. So it seems like something that would be right up your alley. Anyway, so that's trailers. Let's move on into a little bit of news. So in recent times, Netflix and other streaming platforms have actually started to like take over the market. I shouldn't say far surpassed. They have started to take over the market when it comes to anime. So here we actually have some stats and some breakdown on what's actually going on. Netflix also has like a lot of these other stream platforms have the advantage of having more insofar as like the medium goes, more different kinds of entertainment than Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll focuses exclusively on anime. Whereas the advantage of something like Netflix and like Amazon Prime have the advantage of being very diversified, so they can sort of funnel people into watching some of this stuff if they're not opposed to watching something animated. We'll get to this question in a bit. My personal opinion on this is it isn't worth it. Netflix is pretty terrible with their anime, but that's a topic for a little later in the night because we do have some things to talk about in that regard. However, Anime Corner comes at us with anime watchers hit 150 million on Netflix. As streamer announces several massive new titles at Anime Expo. So Netflix revealed two panel audience members at Anime Expo that more than 50% of its members now watch anime, amounting to over 150 million estimated households or 300 million viewers. That is a lot of eyeballs on some of these shows, okay? Now, keep in mind, Netflix has had Sakamoto Days. They've also had Dandadan Season 1 and a couple of other ones that they have done that are exclusive to Netflix. And those ones they've actually been pretty terrible about. But again, that's for a little bit later. We'll talk about that. Anime viewership was also said to have tripled over the last 5 years. Alongside the reveal, Netflix showcased its current upcoming titles like Sakamoto Days, Beastars, the final season, Part 2, Part A, Part B, Dandadan Season 2, Record of Ragnarok Season 3, Cyberpunk Edge Runners 2, which, why are you making a sequel to that? Not that I ever really cared about the first season, and more. You can check out Netflix's anime and games promo video released for Anime Expo below. It's unclear what threshold Netflix uses to categorize an anime viewer. That is an important point. We don't really know exactly how they're categorizing it. It could be they viewed an anime one time and never again. So take it with a bit of a grain of salt. It's still interesting that there is a high concentration of people watching anime on their platform, regardless of how it's categorized. Netflix has continued to acquire some of the most highly anticipated anime adaptations of the last couple of years. Many would argue that the crown jewel of its efforts is the One Piece remake, which few would bet against being a hit following the massive success of the live action and the franchise's recognition generally. Securing fellow Shonen Jump titles like Sakamoto Days, Dandadan, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Black Clover's Sword of the Wizard King. Good movie, actually. The legacy franchises like Pokemon and Sailor Moon, all while shoring up its library with some of the most acclaimed anime, often sub-licensing from rival Crunchyroll, continues to prove successful for the streamer. Gee, it's almost like when you put things on your platform that people actually want to watch, you get some good results from that. A recent Dentsu survey revealed that Netflix was the most popular streaming service for anime across the US, EMEA, and APAC. While Crunchyroll didn't rank in the top 3 and placed 10th in the United States in Dentsu survey, senior staff like President Rahul Purini have regularly said that Netflix's ability to spread anime much further ultimately advertises Crunchyroll, with power viewers eventually opting for the latter's far larger library. The asset management of Bernstein estimates that revenue is equally split between Netflix and Crunchyroll at 42% and 40% respectively. To counter Netflix's ubiquitousness, Crunchyroll has focused on rolling out fast channels and add-ons on different operating systems and apps, and building with phone contacts. So this is basically just marketing stuff. Okay. Yeah, Sword of the Wizard King was a good movie. It's a non-canon thing. Just treat it as a non-canon thing, and it's perfectly fine. Just like, oh, this is just like a random thing that like they decided to use Black Clover characters for, and it's cool as fuck. Kind of like the old Dragon Ball movies where they're not canon, but they use all the Dragon Ball characters because they can. But One Piece season 2 now comes out in 2026. It just takes too long. They'll never catch up. Luffy's actor will be 50 before they do. Yeah, that's probably true. He's talking about the live action. The live action adaptation of One Piece is going to take a very long time to catch up. Well, people can say it's canon all they want. It doesn't matter. A lot of people are just stupid and don't understand that you can't just make something canon because you want it to be. It actually has to make some level of sense. Sword of the Wizard King doesn't really fit into the existing canon of Black Clover. Therefore, I would say it cannot be canon. Unless somehow the creator wants to come around and say, hey, it's canon. You can fit the My Hero Academia movies into canon. They actually have confirmed that the My Hero Academia movies are canon to the anime, but not the manga. Which is weird, but okay. You can somewhat fit those into canon. Anyway, I digress. So this is an interesting thing. There's also the issue of like a lot of people who are coming into anime in this way. Really quick. Hello, JM, the Elite fan. Nice to see you. A lot of people who are coming into anime this way are watching it dubbed. And I genuinely do not have an issue with dubbed anime. Hmm. Because I watch a lot of dubbed anime myself. And honestly, the English dubs have gotten better since the olden days when they actually genuinely sucked. Although you're probably going to get a better experience in some voice acting in the voice acting realm if you watch the Japanese version. I like the advantage of the English dubs that you can actually watch the whole screen and pay attention to things rather than be stuck sitting there and reading the text all the time. It's a visual medium. You should be able to appreciate the visuals, not be glued to reading something the whole time. If you're a fast reader, good for you. I respect that. I am not. I struggle with words that I've never seen before, okay? Especially when they start going off about names. And oh, sorry. Well, unless it's a Netflix dub, no. Unless it's an Amazon dub, dude. Amazon dubs are horrendous. Like I have not seen a single good Amazon dub yet. Their anime is actually halfway decent. Like what was it? Why am I blanking? From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman. That's a good anime. Never watch it dubbed. It is horrendous. Netflix. Netflix is 50-50 if you ask me. But yeah, so this is a little bit of foreshadowing here. They're showing the fragrant flower blooms with dignity, which I guess might as well bring us over to the other thing that I did want to talk about: Netflix's disastrous mishandling of anime. So, do you see the release date there? September 7th. And if you're unfamiliar, this anime is actually actively airing right now. You can go watch it right now. But the only place to legally find it is on Netflix. This directly encourages people to go pirate the anime, and it will likely negatively impact the reception of this show because guess what? All right, have fun, Bagels. Enjoy slaying some filthy goblins. Kill a few for me, okay? YouTube's not going to like that one, but fuck them. YouTube doesn't like me in general. They can suck fucking dick. Okay. So this has been a regular trend. this has been a regular trend with Netflix, is they are terrible with their anime. Now, regardless of how you feel about Moonrise from last season, Netflix did in part try to screw them over by not advertising that show whatsoever. They did nothing to try and push that anime, and the people producing it were like begging them to give them some advertisement. Nothing. Moonrise got no publicity whatsoever. Now, that does, come into like question, like, how good was the actual production? Not good enough for me to really care. But this is the thing. Netflix has not been good at promoting its anime. A lot of its selection isn't as good as what many anime fans would actually like to consume. They have their issues. They have been terrible with some of this stuff in the past. And this just proves that they really do not understand the market that they're dealing with. And I will not be surprised if this doesn't go over well because they don't get the viewership numbers they want, because people have already watched it by the time that this thing starts airing. My guess is that, like, people aren't really going to give a crap, and they're probably delaying it just so that they can get a English dub, which is weird because they released Blue Box, which at least Blue Box was a competent anime, without having a dub first. There's so much stupidity in this move that I cannot possibly comprehend what the hell is going on with them. This has been a highly anticipated romance, so I'm looking forward to this one myself. But I don't see this going over well for Netflix. They have effectively encouraged everyone involved to go to the high seas and find this somewhere else. They are saying it's people know now that it is available in international waters where nobody can stop them. And they're just choosing to wait 2 whole months to air this thing. Beyond stupid corpo bullshit. But I guess we'll move on to something slightly related. And this is for you Apothecary Diary fans out there. The Apothecary Diaries is the most streamed anime in paid subscription streaming services in Japan, surpassing Squid Game and One Piece in the year 2025. So apparently, a lot of people really, really love the Apothecary Diaries. Gee, I wonder why. It's almost like it's one of the most competently written shows out there to date. Now, of course, this is Annie Rave. I don't know how trustworthy they actually are. There tends to be some like controversy over like who should trust who and all that, but I don't see any reason to distrust this. I find it really hard. I find it really suspect though that it surpassed One Piece, because One Piece is incredibly popular. But I guess that is a possibility, although I would say an improbability. Again, considering the demographics that are into each series. I'm just saying. That is the one thing that makes me cast doubt on this whole statement. Is the idea that this somehow out performed One Piece. Okay. Let's move on along. We have another article to cover here. And this one is focused pretty heavily on Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super. So, we've talked a little bit about this in the past, considering there are still some major problems between Japan and China. Yeah, yeah. But you got to keep in mind a lot of people who are alive today um, are not necessarily attached to anything that went down between them. They may still have a little bit of bad blood, but I think a lot of that has just sort of like disappeared with time as people have died off. Not that all of it has. And I'm still sure that the two countries aren't really happy with each other. But a good series is a good series, you know? Anyway, Dragon Ball Super creator officially confirms new project. So this has been an ongoing thing. I talked a while back about how Toyotaro was having disputes with the holders, the holders of I believe it's Shueisha of the Dragon Ball IP, and he did not like what they were going to do to Akira Toriyama's work. He was desperately trying to fight it. It looks like they have ultimately decided to part ways, and that they're just done. He's not going to do this anymore. I think that was actually part of the confirmation last time we talked about this show. Either way. While the future of Dragon Ball remains unclear, the co-creator of the recent manga is getting ready to branch out of the Dragon Ball world. Toyotaro, the co-creator of Dragon Ball Super manga, will release a brand new work isolated from Akira Toriyama. Will release a brand new work isolated from the Akira Toriyama franchise. Toyotaro wrote and illustrated the Dragon Ball Super manga with the late Toriyama. Toyotaro, who wrote and illustrated the Dragon Ball Super manga with the late Toriyama, announced his new solo project at this year's Japan Expo, which ran from July 3rd to July 6th in Paris, France. At the panel, a giant QR code appeared on screen, directing attendees to an online site containing 45 draft pages of Toyotaro's new work. This new manga, currently titled The Lost Samurai, interesting, will be a special one-shot release set in a fantasy depiction of feudal Japan. The preview is available on the V-Jump magazine website. It seems the reports were true. Okay, yeah, interesting. We have a lot of stuff to talk about here. Interesting that you chose to say futile instead of feudal. You fucking retard. I noticed that right off the bat. Despite the massive preview that's available to the public, not much is known about The Last Samurai. The 45 preview pages are all rough sketches, meaning the finalized character designs are still a mystery, as well as whether Toyotaro will continue with his traditional art style as seen in Dragon Ball Super, and the monthly challenges of the Dragon Ball official website, or venture further away from his late mentor's signature work. Online social media user Jordan Lee shared his translation of Toyotaro's work. According to the Twitter user, it's Twitter. The Lost Samurai is set in feudal Japan, not futile Japan, filled with magic and demons. A half-demon samurai named Hakiro rescues a young princess from an evil demon who knows about his late demonic father. After 10 years, the evil demon has returned and kidnapped the princess after spending a decade breaking down the kingdom's magical barrier. It's now up to Hankiro to save the princess and discover the full origin of his demon. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Doesn't look like any of the rest of this is Dragon Ball itself was created as a series one shot in a desperate effort to find something that would replace Dr. Slump. So this is interesting. I'm not going to say that the premise is like that we're working with here is super unique or amazing or in and of itself is going to sell this series. But at the very least, I'll give it a try. I won't say that his artwork is terrible. I don't know. A lot of the designs and stuff from Dragon Ball never really were my thing, just not my aesthetic. Um, and Dragon Ball Super in and of itself, I don't know. It's just not Z. That's the biggest issue with it. It's not Dragon Ball Z. I'm curious to see what he'll do on his own. That's the biggest thing that I guess I'm interested in. I'm most curious to see where things are going to go uh, with this manga. And with that, we really only have a couple of small things to sort of talk about left. And a little bit of that will be looping around to what we started with at the beginning of the night. So I'm pretty sure the guy is stepping away. Not that the manga in and of itself will stop, but I'm pretty sure that Toyotaro is just stepping away from it altogether because of his dispute with Shueisha. You know what? I don't even really want to talk about it because it's just a fucking retarded post. This one though, I guess we will kind of round out the night with because it is a fairly common thing. So apparently there's this Twitch streamer who started to guess I will remove this stage. Apparently there's this Twitch streamer who has decided to start playing the whole the new Uma Musume game. Um uh I'm more so saying that I don't think he wants to really give it up. Um but he's not getting along well with the direction he wants to go with it, and Shueisha doesn't like that, and they want to take control over it. They basically think that they have, or they're basically asserting their rights over the property to say like we get to determine where it goes now that the creator is dead. So I think that's pretty much what's causing him to step away. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Either way, back to what I was saying here. We basically have some bullshit that spawns out of the Blue Archive community. Say what you want about the games. I've never played them. I don't touch them. They don't interest me. Okay, but their community pops up regularly in my feed because well, they're sort of anime adjacent, and some guys I do follow on Twitter are Blue Archive fans. Either way, they're constantly fighting a bunch of people because I don't know if you know anything about Blue Archive. Well, you probably understand why they're constantly fighting people on the internet. Anyway, that led to a certain streamer commenting on it, and it's not Asmongold. And people promptly dug up one of his comments, I guess, on the internet about how apparently waifus are sexist. So we'll ignore all the Blue Archive background drama because personally, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I forgot to share the tab, but I am interested in what he has to say here because apparently this is the thing.
Though that there are people in here who think, and it's not everybody, it's probably like 2%, but there are people in here who think it's misogynistic to say women drink more bubble tea than men, but don't think it's misogynistic to type the word waifu about a female character in a video game.
I don't think either is misogynistic. Statistically speaking, it actually was more popular, more common for women to drink bubble tea than men. It's just a thing that, basic bitches do. They go for the bubble tea. Basic Japanese bitches do that, okay? That's not a big surprise. But your idea is effectively that calling someone a waifu is misogynistic. All right.
That seems crazy. I get the idea that it's like real women versus fictional women, but calling any female character a waifu is like way more misogynistic to me than noticing trends in the Asian tea inspired beverage industry that are actually borne out in the fucking data.
So, look, I'm not going to knock it because I've not tried it. So, Blue Archive, to answer this question, it's a game. I'm not really sure what kind of game it is, but there are a lot of magic lollies involved, okay? So, figure out the internet and that statement together. Just you take the internet, give them a game of magical lollies. There you go. To answer this, isn't saying waifu the same as saying you'd wife up a girl? Pretty much. Pretty much. Keep punching my mic because of where it's put. At some point, I'm just gonna rename my whole channel to fucking Mic Puncher because apparently that's all I do. Okay. So yeah, I don't really see why saying, yeah, this is an attractive character that I like is a bad thing. I don't see how that is a bad thing. I want to let's just keep listening to this.
Why is it misogynistic? Because they don't know you, bro.
Why is it misogynistic? Because they don't know you. What kind of logic is that?
They don't know you. And if they knew you, they probably wouldn't be fucking with you. Referring to a fictional character as if they're your spouse is fucking weird, dude.
That doesn't explain anything about how it's misogynistic to say, I like this character.
It was weird like 15 years ago, but people only said it like in circles where other people were weird. But now they're saying it in normie speak, and everyone's too fucking shy these days to be like, you should get nut tapped a little bit. We should tap your nuts a little bit and say, what the fuck are you talking about? Instead, it's like, well, we got bigger problems. No.
We should tap your nuts a little bit? Are you saying, in to Kabika, like to show you the kind of person you're dealing with, he looks like a fucking soy jack, okay? This dude looks like a fucking soy jack saying this shit. It checks out. You should get nut tapped for saying that you like a character, for calling a character a waifu, because it's misogynistic, because it's weird, because they don't know you, bro. That is an insane, unintelligible argument as to why you shouldn't talk about a female character that you like. This dude completely just, yeah, oh, well, they're not actually real. It would be one thing if it was a real person. He just takes that argument and is like, nah, fuck it. I'm so pro women's rights. I'm so male feminist that I don't even talk about fictional women. We need to tap your nuts. Yeah, well, guess what? At least I have a pair of nuts, And can I just say, I hate his fucking cartoon style that he's got going on here. He probably got nut tapped a lot as a kid, and that's why he can relate. He probably liked it, given the way he's talking. Seriously, though, what kind of argument is okay? You call it a waifu, you're misogynist. Why? Because it's weird. Why? Why is it weird to say you have a favorite female character or to say that you like a female character? They don't know you, bro. Well, yeah, no shit. Guess what? They ain't real. They don't know that you're out here defending their non existent rights because they're fictional characters that don't have rights. This is some really like retarded shit. And it kind of goes back to the things we were talking about with the whole Ruri Rocks situation that I brought up earlier, where people were complaining that it was too fan servicey when all it was is a big pair of tits inside of a nice shirt and some tight jeans. And like, I don't know why it is, but like everyone for some reason seems to hate it when women look good, no matter who you are. It really does lend credence to the whole horseshoe theory. You have one side that says women shouldn't look good because male gaze bad, and the other side says women shouldn't look good because they're too tempting for the men. Therefore, everyone should, cover up, wear your bonnet, protect yourselves. Ooh. It's not an argument. It's not sexist to call a fictional character your waifu. I think he's trying to liken it to like catcalling, to like hitting on a girl you don't know. But how the fuck is that sexist either? How is it sexist to go hit on a girl you don't know? Explain. There's no reason for that. Because how the fuck else are you supposed to get yourself a girlfriend, huh? You're just supposed to hang around them and be friends for 3 years? Some of us don't have time for that shit. How do you get to know a girl without being a misogynist? Apparently, you gotta be like the main character from Rent a Girlfriend if you want to go anywhere in life and not get called a misogynist. The word has no meaning. Oh. I can't take people like this seriously, but I have to at least take their arguments a bit seriously when I dissect them and stuff like this. Because if I don't, well, just a bunch of retardation that comes out of it. Look, the more you think about the doctrines that feminism pushes, the less and less it makes fucking sense. And that's always like the funniest part to me. I should say the most modern renditions of feminism. You want to talk about, voting rights and all that kind of stuff? Fine. Have it. I don't care. Now you start talking about all these retarded, ridiculous things like anime girls are sexist. You now just sound like a jealous cunt of a land whale that nobody wants to deal with because you've been miserable and unfun your entire life. No one should take those opinions seriously because they're unserious opinions. The fact is that regardless of who you are, visual appeal is a good thing. Looking nice is a good thing. Guess what? I manage my fucking facial hair and I try to wear good clothes and keep myself clean because being visually appealing helps in life. I don't intentionally go out of my way to make myself ugly or unappealing. That would be stupid. And the same thing can go for everything. We can idealize fictional characters, okay? We're allowed to do that. You want to know why? Because it's fiction. And if you want to complain that it sets unrealistic standards, well, you have a completely different problem at that point, okay? Look, I know. Like I said, I try. I at least try to look my best, okay? I at least try to be a decent human being, decent looking human being. I'm fully aware of what my face looks like, okay? You don't need to remind me. Yeah, imagine how that works. Yeah, look, man, all I want to do is continue to enjoy anime. That's all I want to do. Well, not all. There are a couple of other things on the list, but insofar as this conversation is concerned, all I want to do is continue to enjoy anime. The fan service stuff, the good looking women is nice, but ultimately, it isn't just that keeps people invested. You want to know why stuff like the first Descendant had a huge fall off? Sure, the character designs on both ends um were good. They had cool characters, they had sexy characters, all of it. Um but the content of the game just wasn't there. And that's ultimately why it fell off. With an anime that is strictly fan service, it's not going to catch on because most people don't just watch for fan service. This is why a lot of more modern ecchis kind of suck. It has nothing really to do. The sexy part of it can, really draw people in. Sure, I'll give you that. It's got a great visual appeal. It'll get eyeballs on your thing, and they'll be like, hey, maybe I should try that out. Or hey, maybe I should watch that anime. But ultimately it's going to be what like everything else that's going to keep people hooked. Guess what? It ain't beauty standards that are why you're alone and miserable. It ain't beauty standards that you got to blame for the fact that you are alone and nobody wants to be around you. It is your awful personality. The everything else about you might have just sucked. That's it. And the first Descendant thing, I bring that up because it is one of those examples where it did fall off hard after its content delivery was not as good as what people had hoped for. I'm not going to judge the game any further than that, okay? Because there were parts of it that I genuinely enjoyed. All I will say is visual appeal is a great way to get people to look at your thing. It's not really a great way to keep people staying around. Let's just leave it at that. Everything else has to matter, ultimately. And people who want to ruin visual appeal because apparently that makes them feel insecure about themselves, or that is somehow wrong according to their worldview because it is empowering or it is diminishing women or something like that. Fuck off. Genuinely, fuck off. People have always liked things that are visually appealing, that have a good aesthetic, whether it's buildings, whether it's art, whether it's people. That's always what we've liked as human beings, because we idealize ourselves. We like perfection. We like the idea of being able to, be the best at something. That's just human nature. And with that, yes, have a good day, Gorilla Mar. We're going to wrap it up here too. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of all the news that I'm going to cover tonight, because I think I've said everything I need to say. Fan service is not the problem, just people who are terribly unfun. Netflix needs to sort their shit out and figure out how they're going to release things in a timely manner and not fuck everyone over who's involved with the project. And I hope Toyotaro's manga turns out well. Plenty of things to look forward to. Summer season's been great. Look forward to some more this weekend as we cover all the new stuff that's come out this week. Well, not all the new stuff, but a lot of the new stuff that's come out this week here on this channel on Animated Saturday night. Hope you'll join me. Otherwise, have a good night. I appreciate you all. Gonna try and knock out another video, hopefully a couple of video essays to come in the near future. I got some time off, so we're going to see how that goes. Later.